Future Audio Workshop Sublab is one of my favorite plugins to use, and today it just got an older sibling, a little bit bigger, beefier XL version of the plugin. This is Sublab XL, the bigger brother or bigger sister to Sublab. Now these two plugins will live side by side, so you can use Sublab and Sublab XL. They're individual plugins, but XL takes everything that Sublab was good at and takes it to a whole nother level. A beefier XL version of Sublab. So there's a lot to unpack in the XL version of Sublab. But before we get into it, we're gonna go ahead and design a Mike Dean, Travis Scott, Kanye West type of bass sound from scratch using XL. But before we get into that, I just want to give a quick overview of what to expect from XL and what's different from the original Sublab plugin. So first off is the UI. It's nice, fresh, and modern looking. The layout is very clean. It carries that over from the younger sibling Sublab. The presets on this one is like literally insane. Every preset is really nice. The resubs, the this hits hard, they all sound really amazing. And they are utilizing, some presets are utilizing the new sound engine right here, the Super Saw, but more on that in a moment. The Super Saw is my favorite feature in XL. With every preset, you also get the macro controls right over here in XL. And not only do you get macro controls, but you get this awesome, cool window over here. And sort of change the idea of the sound using macro controls. And like I said, this is included on all the presets. So if I go to another one right here, really easy ways to change up that sound. And I like how the colors match the album art or the preset art for that pack. Over here in the modulation section, you have a new feature over here, the LFO, to add movement to your sound. Also new is a couple new sound effects. But what I also really appreciate from the effects is you can actually choose your chain alongside new sort of UI elements as well. Nice movement to the plugin. But you can actually change the chain or the signal chain of the effects as well, which is really nice to have. And you can add as many as you want. So that's just a general overview what to expect from Sublab XL. Now let's go ahead and design a sound from scratch. Let's go ahead and create a new preset for ourselves, design one from scratch. We're gonna go back to that Super Saw oscillator over there. Then we're gonna go ahead and select between our wave shape. I'm gonna leave this on saw, but you do have the option to go to triangle or square. Layout over here is how you wanna stack those oscillators. So I'm just gonna choose the first option over here. I like the way it sounds. I'm gonna add a little bit more detuning in this one just to get it nice and full sounding. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up a little bit more unison to make it more wider sounding. And more analog-y at the same time. And this is your width control over here on the Super Saw. We'll go somewhere about there. So that is the Super Saw and what it's all about and what you can create just by using the Super Saw oscillator right there. Next up, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go over to our low pass. I'm gonna turn up 100% of the filter to control the Super Saw. So we're gonna cut out a lot of the highs and the buzziness. So I'm gonna bring this down here a bit. I'm gonna add in a little bit of resonance as well. So right there, we already got that classic Mo bass sound that a lot of producers love to use. I love to use it because it fills out so much of that bottom end and it just makes the track sound really full. So I'm gonna leave my amp envelope the same over here. On my pitch, you hear there's a little bit of a kick on top of it. I'm gonna go and take that out just so I get the bass alone. We're gonna add in a sample later to fill it out, but I just wanna focus in on that Super Saw there. Next, we're gonna go to our filter modulation over here, and we're gonna make it a little bit more buzzy at the top end. So I'm gonna bring up the amount here to about 50%, and I'm gonna pull up the attack a bit. See how it adds a little bit of buzziness on top? All right, so a quick way to add modulation to your sound. A lot of times in other synth plugins, you got to route things and do this and that. And it gets a little bit complicated. Everything is right there. You don't have to worry about routing anything. Just turn the knob or the setting that you want and you get that sound that you're looking for. All right, next up, we're gonna go over to X sub over here and it's gonna add in some sub harmonics. So a low end sub to it and then harmonics on top to fill out this sound. Make sure we turn it on in our mixer over here. See how it fills out and sort of adds girth to the low end. Next, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go over to our sample over here and we're gonna actually load in a sample. So I'm gonna go over to a sample that I like found within the This Hits Hard kit called the Go-To Kick. I'm gonna turn on our sample over here and it's gonna add a quick punch on top here. Right, but I don't want it that prevalent and I don't really want the filter to cut it off at all. I'm just gonna bring down the volume here. I just want to thump at the top of the sound there. All right, next up, we're gonna go over to our effects. This is also something that's new in Excel. You can go ahead and select as many effects as you want. And you got a couple new effects here as well, like Wave Shaper. And you can also control the chain of these effects as well, which is really nice to have here too. But I'm actually going to just use tape over here. I may use Wave Shaper as well. And I'm just going to bring this up a little bit here, the tape. I'm going to turn down the hiss. And give the sound a little bit more of like a meaner type of sound. So there's like your Mike Dean, Travis Scott, Kendrick Lamar type of bass. It's a little bit more aggressive. Then from there, what we're gonna do, maybe we can add in a wave shaper here to give it a little bit more sort of grittiness. All right, so now I'm gonna go over to my tone section over here, and I'm just gonna, it's pretty much like adding an EQ at the end just to shape your sound. So I'm gonna take a little bit of the bass out here. So now we can go ahead and save this preset. But before I do, I'm gonna go ahead and use another cool thing that I actually appreciate about Excel having is macro controls. So it's a quick way to adjust the tone or type of sound that you have on your preset very quickly. So we're gonna go ahead and take our macro A over here. We're just gonna put it on our frequency over here. Just gonna make sure our lowest point is set to what we had before. We can take this macro control A again. Let's control our amount of drive here. Make sure that's our starting point. And then we're gonna go over to macro B. Maybe we'll bring it to our kick level. Just make sure it's about as loud as our kick right now. And maybe we'll add in a little bit more sub level as well with macro B. Bring that down a bit. So this we can call, I don't know, let's call it buzziness, buzz. And this we can call impact. Right? So now if we go over to our macro window over here, I mean, you could adjust it from here as well, but we could go over to our macro window over here and you're presented with this cool little interface here. So if I go ahead and quickly go ahead and adjust the shape and tone of my sound on that preset without affecting anything else. Just a quick way to adjust there with macro controls. So that right there is how you create a Reese Moog bass from scratch in Sublab XL. If you do have a question on this, we can go and chat in the comment section below this video. If you do want to learn more about it, I got a link down below the video as well. I'll also include my discount code in case you do want to cop Sublab XL. Discount code will be below the video. Make sure to use that at checkout to get that discount. But other than that, hope you enjoyed this video. If you are looking for an 808 or bass synth, Sublab XL is the one to get.